Hey, I am going to go over some of the amendments. I have little tricks that I've used to remember the different amendments. And so we're going to go over that together. Let me see if I can figure out how to flip this. Okay, so I have some little tricks over the years that have helped me to remember the different amendments. You're going to have to take an amendment test where you have to know all 27 of them, and I actually have it on my computer right now. It looks like this, and so you just have to put in the number next to it, okay? And I'll type it all into a Google form and put it on Google Classroom so that you can do that. So in the meantime, to help you study, here are some little tricks that have helped me over the years. So if you have your list of amendments, I would jot down these little memory tricks because they have really helped me. So starting, maybe I'll just do it like one at a time so that you can see. Amendment number 1, okay, the First Amendment, super important one. It has 5 pieces to it. It's the only amendment that has 5 parts. Freedom of speech, religion, press, assembly, and petition. And we always think that freedom of speech is number 1, like the most important thing, the ability to express yourself. So just remember that speech is number 1, freedom of speech number 1, amendment number 1. It's the only one that has 5 parts to it, okay? Amendment number 2. And you can always pause this if I'm going too fast. The right to bear arms. Of course, this is talking about a well-formed militia in regards to, firearms, and it's a very controversial and talked about amendment even to this day. But the right to bear arms, I just think we have 2 arms. So Second Amendment, that is the way that I remember that, 2 arms. Okay, this next one, the Third Amendment, came about during the Revolutionary War. And it was when the British Army, the Redcoats, would come into people's homes and say basically, hey, we're using this as a headquarters, get out. And so no soldiers could be kept in private homes during wartime. And the way that I remember that is 3's a crowd. Amendment number 3, 3's a crowd. I also think of the 3-cornered hat that they wore during the Revolutionary War. Okay, so you can't keep soldiers in your home, 3's a crowd. Number 4 is they can't search your property without a warrant or a reason. So I think, what are you looking for? Amendment number 4, what are you looking for? Okay. All right, number 5, we talked about this one in class. The right to avoid self-incrimination. If you do not want to speak without your lawyer and without the right information, you can say, I plead the 5th. So if you're like, you know what, I'm just not going to say it, in court, you can actually plead the 5th, and that's using your 5th Amendment right. So you don't want to incriminate yourself by saying the wrong thing. I plead the 5th. Okay. Right to a speedy trial is number 6, speedy trial. So there's 2 ways that you can remember this. 6, like Route 66, going fast, or like a G6, whatever helps you to remember speedy trial, number 6. Okay, number 7. Unlucky number 7. We had a big discussion in class about double jeopardy and what that is. And if you have any questions about that, send me an email. But basically, you cannot be tried for the same crime twice. And there's even a movie called Double Jeopardy that talks about that. So now that doesn't mean like you rob a store one day and you have your trial and then you rob a store a different day. No, that's a whole different crime. We're talking about the same instance. But anyway, it's rights of the accused, and it is unlucky number 7. Sorry if I'm jumping with my camera here. Okay, number 8. No cruel or unusual punishments or extreme fines, like, oh, you walked off the sidewalk, that's $5,000. So I call this crazy 8. No crazy punishments, no crazy fines or anything like that. Crazy 8. 9 and 10 go together. individual rights and states' rights. Basically, what they are saying is that you have certain rights as an individual and as a state, and they are outlined in the Constitution. So what I think of is 9 and 10. A person is smaller than a state, 9 and 10. So you're just going to have to remember 9, 10, individual, and then state, okay? All right. Some of these are kind of corny, but they've helped me. Okay, number 11 talks about the Supreme Court. So I think of a gavel, like bam, bam, order in the court, 1-1. Okay, talks about how the Supreme Court doesn't originate cases, how they deal with cases against the United States or that couldn't be settled in a lower court. All right. Now, it used to be that when you ran for president, whoever got second place got vice president. Well, as you can imagine, if you didn't belong to the same political party, that could cause a lot of drama. So they changed that to where you could run for president or you were running specifically for vice president. So the way that I think of the 12th Amendment is 1-2. Okay, president is 1, vice president is 2, 1-2. 12th Amendment, 1-2, the top 2 people. Okay, these next couple of them, I'm going to move this up just a second. Okay. These ones all happened after the Civil War, and they're called like the Reconstruction Amendments because the South had to kind of put itself back together after the Civil War. So first, 13, slavery was declared illegal. Well, slavery is really bad and horrible, and a lot of people think that 13 is an unlucky number, like Friday the 13th. So 13 bad, slavery bad. That's just how I remember that. And then 14, after that, they allowed Black men to become citizens. And then the 15th Amendment, Black men could vote. Suffrage means the right to vote. So you just got to remember 13, 14, 15. They were trying to give some rights to African Americans. Okay. 16. I call it Sweet 16, federal income tax. Income is money that you make. Money is sweet. Sweet 16 for federal income tax. Hope these little tricks help you like they have helped me. Okay. Number 18, they got rid of alcohol. Prohibition means the banning of alcohol. So you can't drink when you're 18. That's how I remember it. Now, we did change this later. And what is convenient is that the amendment that changed it back is 21. So can't drink at 18, can drink at 21. That's how I remember that. Women's suffrage, the right to vote, that was they just celebrated having 100 years of that, actually. So 19, women's right to vote. I don't really have a fancy little way to remember that. I just always remember the 19th is the women's right to vote. Okay, here we go. I'm just going to kind of show the rest of this for a while here. 20. This talks about when the new president is inaugurated or sworn into office, and it's on January 20th. So I always just remember January 20th, the 20th Amendment, 2020. Okay, 21, alcohol was legalized again, brought back, 21, 21st Amendment, can drink at 21. That's how I remember that. 22, limits the president to 2 terms. Before this, FDR, Franklin Roosevelt, had 4 terms, and they were starting to realize, oh, this is kind of becoming like a king or a dynasty, so we need to change this. So 2-2, 2 terms, 22, 2-2. That's how I remember that. Washington, D.C. wanted to become a part of the Electoral College. You know how we were all looking at the map in the election and who got to 270 first. So Washington, D.C. joined that whole thing with the 23rd Amendment. So 23 DC, 23 DC. All right. 24. Believe it or not, in some places they would charge you a tax to vote. And we're like, wait a minute, this is a democracy. We need to be able to not have obstacles to vote. So 24, tax no more. Okay. Now 25, the 25th Amendment describes what would happen if a president dies in office, for example, with JFK, and his vice president, Lyndon Johnson, took the oath of office on Air Force One on the way back to Washington, D.C. Very famous picture there. 25, staying alive. Now, in class, we talked about the hierarchy and what should happen. And there's a couple shows on Designated Survivor, and even Battlestar Galactica deal with this, of what cabinet member would be the highest ranking. And it's really interesting. Kind of getting on a rabbit trail here, but we even talked about in class how the what is it called? State of the Union Address, which is a speech that the president gives every year. They always have one member of the government who is not in the building, just in case it's bombed or something, so that somebody can fill in if a tragedy were to occur. Okay, almost there. Thank you for hanging in there with me. 26. Voting age is changed to 18. They lowered it to 18, so just got to remember that. And then finally, the most current amendment, Congress cannot vote to raise their own pay. So the way that I remember this is 27 is the highest number on your test, high pay. Congress can vote for future pay raises, but they're not guaranteed if they'll get reelected or not, but they cannot vote to raise their own pay. So 27 is a high number, and it is the highest amendment. I hope that this helps you. Like I said, here is the test, and I'll put that into Google for you. And if you have any questions, always reach out to me. And I hope this was helpful. Okay.